Alright, in this video we're talking about 21 fragrances that I discovered in 2019. And we're not talking about the fragrances that were launched in 2019. These are fragrances that were launched prior to 2019. But I discovered them in 2019 and I really love them. So if you want to find out these 21 fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. If this is your first time tuning into the channel and you love watching fragrance reviews, finding out about new fragrances, discovering new brands, and of course participating in giveaways and still haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So I discover a lot of fragrances. Obviously you're aware of that. I speak about a lot of different fragrances from houses that are very little known and all that good stuff. So I'm always discovering new fragrances that were launched, you know, the days that I'm doing videos on. Like for example, all of these fragrances were prior to 2019, but you've already seen a video with my top 20 fragrances of 2019. But these are definitely fragrances that were launched prior, and I'm just discovering them now. Some are pretty old, some are very new, but just fragrances that I'm discovering or appreciating in 2019. And we're going to get started right away with one. I guess I want to call this an honorable mention, or number 21, and it's a fragrance I've known about. It's not really a discovery, it's more of an appreciation in 2019. It's Santal 33 from LABO. This came out in 2011. And I finally have embraced this fragrance. This is all about sandalwood. It's a very, very hyped, I don't know if I would call it hyped. I think it's just a very loved fragrance, and a lot of people say this is probably the most popular fragrance from the house of LABO. People apparently say they smell everybody wearing Santal 33, so it's kind of one of those type of fragrances. It's very sandalwoody, this leather note. There's papyrus, there's cedar, there's violet. So to me, it smells like fresh laundry with lots of sandalwood, a bit of, I don't know, just kind of reminds me of freshness. There's a little bit of a cucumbery undertone running under there too, and it's nice. At first it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, so I stayed away from it, but it's one of those fragrances that you discover later on and you appreciate it and you enjoy it. So anyway, this is Santal 33, and it's from the house of LABO. Okay, so this next fragrance is from the house of Kajal, and this is Dahab. This was launched in 2015, and this was a discovery last summer, end of summer, and I really enjoy it because of that passion fruit note. There's apple in there, so it's fruity. This is ultra fruity. There's musk in here. There's amber. It's very ambery, of course. I mean, you could see the color. And there's some citruses thrown in, some coriander. I also get a very leathery touch in here, slightly saffrony, leathery, a little powdery at the same time, but it's a very, very fruity fragrance. If you like fruits, you gotta try this one. It's very, very nice fragrance. I love it. It smells great. This is Kajal Dahab, and this was launched in 2015. Okay, this next one is from the house of Mugler, and this is CHYPRISSIME, this one right here. This was one that I probably had sampled from a sample, never sprayed a bottle, and moved on. But I discovered it because I really like the combination of patchouli and Oakmoss. And this is what's in here with this one. And you also have some bergamot. There is a very pear-like undertone in here with some citruses of orange, but it's very, very, very delicious. If you like Chypris, definitely check out. I mean, Chypris that Mugler can do, like a Mugler touch or Mugler DNA. This one's definitely gonna do it for you. This is CHYPRISSIME from the house of Mugler. Love, love, love the way it smells. Now this next one is one that I kept coming back to last year in 2019. It was launched in 2018. It's from the house of DS and Durga. It's I don't know what. It's this one right here. Now this one I spoke about in my video about making fragrances last longer. So you can use this as like a primer or a base. You spray it on your skin and then lay on top of it with some other fragrance that you might like. For me, this is a very, very simplistic smell. It's kind of in that similar ballpark of eccentric molecules types of fragrances. So there's a vetiver note. I believe it's a synthetic vetiver. There's an amber note, which is a synthetic amber. There's bergamot. I think that's the only non-synthetic. There's a synthetic civet. There's ISOE super. It's very light, and I like the way it smells. Actually, it does smell like something, and it's really, really pleasant, and I love wearing it. In fact, when I get burnt out of fragrances and like intense heavy fragrances, I want something light and clear here and clean. This is what I do. DS and Durga, I don't know what is what it's called, and it's from 2018. Now, this next one was launched in 2018 again, and it's from the house of Lancome, and this is Ors Rose, this one right here. Really, really love this gourmand. Really delicious. It's iris, it's almonds, it's Ors butter, it's powdery, it's buttery, it's gooey, it's delicious. There's sugar in the notes, vanilla, musk, absolutely delicious. It's really, really delicious. It does hint at a little bit of eerie ganache from the house of Guerlain. Watch my comparison video. In fact, watch my making fragrances last longer video, which features this fragrance here, because I do have fragrance videos about all these fragrances, most of these fragrances I'm talking about, but definitely check this one out. If you like gourmands and almonds and buttery orris or iris notes, this is definitely one for you to not miss out. So this is Lancome, it's Ors Rose, launched in 2018. Now this next one is from the house of Rogue Perfumery, and this is a fragrance that my friend Dahlia, who does videos with me, had brought over, and she said you gotta check this out, and I loved it. And last November, when I went to Lucky Scent Bar in New York City, I picked up a bottle along with CHYPRISSIME. But this is absolutely one of a kind, delicious fragrance. It's got lots of oak moss, it's got artemisia, white flowers, cypress note, but really, really delicious. And the oak moss in here is to die for delicious. It's not very expensive. It is indie-esque. It is IFRA non-compliant, meaning they're not complying to IFRA regulations. They're sold here, but it's a phenomenal release. If you like Chypre type, although this is not considered a Chypre, it's oak moss, but it's more like a barbershop-y kind of barbershop-esque kind of a fragrance, so more fougere type of a fragrance. So check out Mousse Illuminée from the house of Rogue Perfumery, another excellent release. Now this next one I reviewed last year, and it's a fragrance that was launched in 2007 from the house of Atelier d'Orange that I kept coming back to in 2019, and I decided to review it. It's Tom of Finland, and this is a unique leather. So you got a suede leather, so it's very buttery, it's very soft and creamy with vanilla notes and tonka beans, and there's iris here, and then there's a smoky birch note thrown in. So if you like leather and you want to kind of take it into a gourmand territory, then this is the one for you right here. Now it doesn't kind of connect with the Tom of Finland imagery to me personally, but as a scent, I really, really love this one. It's a great, great leather. It's a gourmand leather, and it's very unique for me. So this is Tom of Finland from the house of Atelier d'Orange. That was launched in 2007. Now this next one is from the house of Rosendo Mateu. This is number 5, this one right here. A house that I discovered last year, and I discovered this scent as well. This is absolutely an amazing, very, very sexy ambery musk, to die for kind of a smell. Love wearing it. And with this one, you got lots of amber, you got lots of vanilla, so it's very vanillic. It's also very musky, and there's floral notes and spices thrown in. It's if you like ambers, and you like musk and vanilla, but on the softer side, not like a beast, not rough, not rugged, just a very, very elegant, soft kind of offering. Number 5 is amazing from this house. It's absolutely amazing. Check it out, Rosendo Mateu, number 5, launched in 2017. A great, great release. Now this next one I reviewed last year, and it was an accidental discovery because I had kind of like dismissed this collection, but now I'm really intrigued with it, especially because of this fragrance. This is called Olivo from the house of Bottega Veneta. Now I've been looking for olive themed fragrances, and there was nothing to be found. And olive is a kind of a smell I love because I grew up, as a kid, playing around olive trees and all those kind of things, and kind of got used to the smell of the trees. It's a very, very unique smell, and I love eating olives to begin with anyway. So Olivo is a very, very green fragrance launched in 2018 from the house of Bottega Veneta in their higher end luxury collection. You've got olive in the notes, you've got green notes, you've got vetiver, patchouli, cedar. So if you like the idea of fig in a fragrance, the fig fragrance, this is one that you should definitely try. It's another one of those Mediterranean fruits that's very, very popular in the Mediterranean. And if you grew up or have, kind of hung around fig trees and olive trees and all that good stuff, you might like this fragrance. I don't think they're using real olives. I'm not sure if they can extract the smell. I think they've recreated the smell from different notes to create a chord, and it's actually really, really great. It's not intense, it's not big, it's not really beefy, but a very, very pleasant scent that hints at how an olive tree should smell like. So this is Olivo from the Bottega Veneta house, and this was launched in 2018. Now this next one I reviewed last year, but it was launched in 2016. It was a discovery from last year on my travels at the Parfums de Marly boutique in Paris, and also in Printemps, where they have not a boutique, but on their first floor upstairs they have all the perfumes, and I sampled this there. It's Nicyon. I did a review of this one, and since I'm a patchouli lover, this one's focusing on patchouli with woody notes. Very, very beautiful, very woody patchouli, and with like ambery touches and smoky touches. In fact, there's also some saffron in here. If you've caught my video with Dana, not Dahlia, Dana and I were talking about resins and balsams. In that video, she featured labdanum. This smells so labdanum-y, like, is that a word to say, labdanum-y? It smells like labdanum that we were smelling in that video. It's very smoky, it's gummy, it's like very pasty. If you check that video out and you scroll to the section of where we're discussing labdanum, you can kind of get an idea of what this smells like. But it's the labdanum with the woody notes and the very, very intense patchouli thrown in, and the saffron. Very, very underrated offering from the house of Parfums de Marly. If you like patchouli, woody notes, labdanum, ambery touches, definitely check out Nicyon from the house of Parfums de Marly. And that was launched in 2016. It's very, very underrated too. Okay, the next one is going to the house of Guerlain. And again, I just want to repeat, these are only fragrances that I discovered last year that were not launched last year. If you're curious to find out what my favorite fragrances from 2019 are, definitely check out that video, which is already on air. But this is from the house of Guerlain. This was launched in 2017. This is Mandarin Basilic. Wow, this is so good. If you like fresh fragrances, focusing on mandarin oranges and basil together, this one's not to be missed. It smells so great. It's so fresh. I actually discovered it at a perfume shop in the south of Spain last summer when I was visiting, and I immediately bought it. I thought, this is so fresh. It was hot and humid there, and you're spraying yourself with this very, very fresh and aromatic experience with the the fresh from the mandarin, the citrus, and then the aromatic from the basil. It's a very, very beautiful fragrance. It's very refreshing. So you got clementine oranges, you got orange also in the notes, basil, bitter orange, orange blossom, lots of different citruses along with that basil. Really, really one of a kind fresh fragrance. If you like fresh fragrances, if you like citruses, definitely check out Mandarin Basilic. It's a great one not to be missed. And that one was launched in 2007. Now this next one we recently featured in my oud fragrances video, not the designer oud fragrances, but the more niche and luxury oud fragrances video. And this is from the house of Cartier. It's Oud Radeau, this one right here. One of a kind fragrance. In fact, for me, this one's a very, very gingery oud with some spice thrown in of the Sichuan pepper. So it's basically those three notes. And if you like ginger, like this is a ginger bomb. I think in this, there's more ginger than oud, but the oud's there, it's under there, it just doesn't come out as much. So if you're one that doesn't like oud that much, you might want to go with something like this, but you gotta love ginger because it's that very, very spicy, slightly peppery kind of a horseradishy kind of experience. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but the ginger kind of goes in that direction for me. But one of a kind smell. It's so good. It's really, really great. And I discovered it last year. I actually bought it last year because I fell in love with it and couldn't live without it. Anyway, Cartier Oud Radeau, a ginger bomb, and it was launched in 2015. Now this next one is from the house of Jacques Fat, and this is Curacao Bay, this one right here. Now, previous to last year in 2018 and just a little before that, I started slowly getting into the idea of aquatic fragrances. There was a time that I had gotten burnt out on very, very strong cologne heavy aquatics. I couldn't stand cologne in the notes. So I kind of turned me off, but slowly I was getting into it. And then this one just really kind of like resonated with me slowly but surely. And especially in the heat, it just kind of comes alive. So Curacao Bay is launched in 2015 from the house of Jacques Fat when they launched 4 fragrances: Green Water, Curacao Bay, and 2 others. I can't remember the name. Surla something. There's an amber one and a fig one. But this one actually just was a slow kind of get used to and enjoy. But this one featured frangipani, aquatic notes, clementine, musk, and orange. So it's aquatic for sure, and it's also floral. It's white floral. It's very tropical, hence the name Curacao Bay. So it's inspired by, I guess, Brazil and those kind of beachy kind of atmosphere and experiences. So if you like that idea, this one's definitely one for you. You gotta like tropical flowers, you gotta like aquatic notes, but it's very, very wonderful fragrance to wear in the summertime. It's very, very refreshing, but also kind of has a backbone because it doesn't there's a thickness to the juice, so it kind of wears a little heavier than normal. Anyway, this is Curaçao Bay from the house of Jacques Fat, launched in 2015. Another great discovery. Now this next one is from the house of Tiziana Terenzi, and this is Tabit. One I discovered last year, and I just immediately fell in love with it because very, very unique combination of notes. It's peachy, so it's very, very fruity. There's lots of musk in here, so it's very, very musky. There's cotton candy in the notes, adds a sweetness to it. Lots of amber, lots of vanilla, and it's I wouldn't say it's one of a kind, but it's very, very delicious. It's just a very, very wonderful wearing experience, and I love wearing this one. Very, very long lasting as well. It's an extrait de parfum concentration. A little goes a long way. It's intense. It's big. You can get away with it in the wintertime. Easy on the trigger in the summertime because it is fruity after all, so it's kind of a type of a fragrance you can do that with. But since it's so heavy, go easy on the trigger. But if you like fruity fragrances, definitely check out Tabit. It's wonderful. I love the way it smells. Lots of peach in this one. Now this next one is from the house of Ors Parfums. I did a video of their 4 fragrances, and this is from a fragrance called Silenda de Acume. I don't know if you've seen the video, go check it out. I did it with Dahlia. We previewed 4 of their fragrances. Now this one is very, very unique in smell. It's got lots of heliotrope, so it's very almondy and also powdery. There's some fruity notes thrown in, apples and peaches, and then the iris also comes in, adds more powdery touches. And then there's some musk and cedar and some vanilla thrown in. Very, very delicious. Nobody's talking about this house, and I discovered it in Javoy earlier last year at the beginning of the year when I was visiting Paris in January, and I fell in love with their bottles. And these bottles, you have to open them up here, and there's the glass juice that goes in. But check out my video talking about this house. We previewed this and 3 of their other fragrances. Really, really cool fragrances, really intense and long lasting and unique bottles, like lightsabers, as you can see. Anyway, this is Ors Parfums Silenda de Acume. Really, really great fragrance. That one was launched in 2018. Now this next one, I did a review last summer, I think. Yep, here it is. And this is from the house of Akro, which I also discovered at the same time I discovered Ors Parfums. And this is Akro Smoke. I picked this up last summer and I had to review it right away. And this one actually, what happened was I bought Dark and I bought Awake last May. Then in June I went to Southern California, LA, and I smelled this in their heat there, and then this one kind of came alive on me, and I immediately had to get this bottle as well because it's very, very smoky. It's a tobacco, but it's a smoke and tobacco note. There's also benzoin thrown in there. Benzoin adds this vanillic resin sweetness to the fragrance. And in the heat, this thing was coming alive, and it was just really, really sexy. So I immediately picked it up. And even though I had Dark and Awake prior to Smoke, I really, really went gaga over Smoke, and I did a video of it. So if you don't know these fragrances, from the house of Akro, definitely check them out. Great fragrances. 5 of them or 6 of them are all inspired by addictions. Akro Smoke is an awesome scent. Check it out. So before we move on with the remainder of the list, we're almost finished here. I just want to also mention that this is also the year that I discovered Mimosa, the flower, in fragrances. I think if you look back on my channel and do a search for Mimosa, M-I-M-O-S-A, you'll find a lot of reviews with that note. So there's fragrances that I did a lot of focusing on this note, and it's something that I didn't really enjoy a lot in the past, but I fell in love with in 2019, and I really do appreciate this note. One other thing, another note that I've spoken a lot about is Immortelle. I've done a lot of videos focusing on fragrances that focus on this note, Immortelle. In fact, I did one with 3 Immortelle fragrances. This is another note that was kind of not very familiar for me, and it's another note that I discovered and became a big fan of in 2019. So those are the few notes that you should definitely check out if you like the idea. Do a search for Immortelle or Mimosa. I-M-M-O-R-T-E-L-L-E. So this next fragrance we're going to talk about is from the house of Atelier des Ors. This is Rose Omeyyade, this one right here. Now this is a fragrance that had launched in 2014 and I had completely dismissed. I don't know why I dismissed it, but I kept coming back to it over and over again. Now this one, because I love rose, obviously rose is probably one of my favorite flowers. In fact, it's a great scent here. We've got rose, you've got raspberry, you've got brown sugar, and there's oud in there and patchouli. This one's more about the rose, it's more about the raspberry, and then also the oud comes in there. There's that patchouli also. It's really nicely balanced. I mean, you've got lots of rose. The oud is not overly strong, but it's there. The patchouli is not overly strong. It's there. The sugary touches are also really nicely complementing with the rose and the raspberry. The raspberry adds this slightly fruity twist to the fragrance, which makes it amazing. So glad to have discovered this in 2019. It's an awesome scent and one that you should definitely check out if you like rose and fruity touches. So that is Rose Omeyyade from the house of Atelier des Ors, and that one was launched in 2014. Now this next one, speaking of Immortelle, is one that I discovered last year as well, and I did a review of this one. In fact, I featured it in my 3 Immortelle fragrances video that I did around Thanksgiving. In that video, we featured Immortelle from the house of Manos Kerakinis. We also featured Atelier de Oranges Like This, and of course Atelier des Ors Musk Immortelle. So this one is a gourmand Immortelle fragrance, and it features the notes of Immortelle. You've got brown sugar, you got cinnamon. It's a very warm and gooey combination. I have a full review of this one, as I said, and then I also have the video with the 3 fragrances that I was discussing that are focusing on Immortelle. If you like Immortelle, I just did a video of Mile High for Parlez-moi de Parfum. It's also featuring Immortelle, which is a very dry, straw-like kind of a note. It's a flower, but it's a flower that's very dry. To me, it reminds me of autumn, and I felt like Immortelle is a perfect autumn experience. So if you like gourmands, if you like speculoos, which this smells like, definitely check out Immortelle from the house of Manos Kerakinis. All right, so this next one is a 3-way tie, all from the same brand. In fact, the first one that I discovered last year, I will tell you about, is Amoris Homme from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. And later in the year, I picked up Amoris Homme Extrait, this one. So these are the 2. And then of course another one that I picked up from this house that I discovered last year and I hated it before is Baccarat Rouge. So first let's talk about this. Amoris Homme is all about amyris, tonka beans, mandarin orange, iris, and rosemary. The 2 are, I mean, they're not too different, but they are different. For me, this one's a lot fresher, not as dense, and the freshness comes alive, the amorous note comes alive, and then tonka bean is also pretty prominent. With this one, it's a lot denser, it's a lot more amberier, and when you spray it, you do get up some spices, almost like hints of cumin come in at the beginning as well. Then it kind of like dries down and becomes more ambery and woody in the dry down. Soon there'll be a video comparing these 2, but these 2 are definitely ones I discovered last year. And then of course everybody knows Baccarat Rouge. I did a full review of this one last year as well, because I hated this fragrance when it first launched. I didn't understand anything about this fragrance. I didn't like the idea. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but then it kept coming back to it. I kept coming back to it, and eventually it's one of my greatest discoveries of last year. And it's so funny, so many people are copying this fragrance. It's not a joke. So many copies out there. It's just like Francis Kurkdjian has copied it himself as well for Burberry. Anyway, if you like Baccarat Rouge, with its this one came out in 2015, and it's ambergris and a lot of really sexy musky notes. Really wonderful fragrance. So that is Baccarat Rouge. And then we have a few more left. We're going to talk about this one here. It's Milano For Him. I did a full review of this one. Now this is a very classy men's fragrance. Originally it was launched in 1980. Then it came out again in 2016. They are now selling them at Lucky Scent. For me, it kind of hints at those masculine fragrances of yesteryear, like Eau Sauvage, Chanel Pour Monsieur, YSL Pour Homme, those kind of fragrances. It's classy, it's masculine, it's woody, it's aromatic, it's fresh, refreshing, just really lovely fragrance. This is Milano For Him. That one's another great release. Not a release, I'm sorry, not a great discovery in 2019. And last but not least, it's Lavande from the house of Molinard. So this one came out in 2018. Last year I did a comparison video of this one with Tom Ford's Lavender Extreme, and I felt like these two were very, very similar fragrances, and if you're on a budget and you like Lavender Extreme, this is the one for you to go with. The notes are kind of somewhat dissimilar, but they're just a little turned around, if that makes sense, between this one and Tom Ford's Lavender Extreme. But this one features the notes of lavender, vanilla, benzoin, clary sage, labdanum, and tonka beans. Very, very gourmand lavender to me, but it's intense. It's very, very pungent with the lavender note. Like, it's really, really strong with the lavender. But anyway, it's a great scent. It's very inexpensive. It's about $65 for a 75 ml bottle, and that's a great discovery of 2019. And there you have it. That's my list of fragrances, my greatest discoveries of 2019. Fragrances that were not launched last year, but launched earlier or prior to 2019. Guys, are you familiar with these fragrances? Do you know these fragrances? Do you like them? Do you hate them? And what were your greatest discoveries in 2019, or fragrances that didn't launch in 2019? Do let me know. Put a comment down so that I can find out. Other than that, guys, please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.